Sandi MacIver here, Stampin' and Blogging, Stampin' with Sandi, and I have a fun fold card for you today called the Gatefold Shudder card. Okay, so there's a little belly band on the top of this little guy. We'll just pop that up. Here's the gatefold, and check out the shudder going on inside. Now, is that cool or what? And you know what? It looks really hard. I always thought they were really hard, but that's pretty darn easy. Let me show you how. While I was hulling everything in here to make this video, I thought maybe I should change it to, we're going to use everything you've ever bought from Stampin' Up! On this card. Okay, so here's the cardstock and the designer paper. The card base is 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to be scoring and folding that at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. That's what causes the pieces to come together. The designer paper on the outside is 1 3/4 by 5 1/8. Okay, so then the inside piece, this piece here in the center, okay, you have another piece of the mint macaron, and this one is 3 by 5.5. And then there's a piece of designer paper that goes over top of that, 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. And the designer paper I'm playing with today is called It's My Party, okay? So that is the outside, and then when you turn this over, this is going to be the inside, okay? And then you're going to need a couple of sentiments. I took a scrap of basic black and white embossed Happy Birthday, and then I have another guy here, and it is cut out with the framelets, the circles, and the sentiment, dear friends. And then for the piece over the belly band, you need a piece of basic black, and this is, what is it, 4 by 4, and you're going to cut that with the 7th from the center circle framelit. And then the designer paper is a 3.5 square, and that's cut with the 6th from the center designer paper, or sorry, circle framelit. Sorry, I forgot to show you the stamp sets I used. Balloon Celebration, we're going to be using some of the pieces from here, and the sentiments came from Birthday Blooms. I think you'll find both of them in the Occasions catalog. And I found 2 pieces of cardstock that we're hiding. For the shudder, you need basic black, and you need 2 pieces, 3.5 by 4, okay? So we are going to start with a card base, and I'm on my Simply Scored, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to score our card base. So again, I'm going at 2 1/8 and 6 3/4. So those are the 2 scores for that. And then there's only 2 more scores that you need to do, and it's a 1/2 inch on the left-hand side of the 2 shudder pieces, okay? So that's all the scoring. Okay, so you have to cut an angle in the shudder pieces, and here is a quick little tip for you. I use my grid paper, and because this is 3.5 by 4, this is quite easy to figure out. The center on this side is going to be 2, the center on this side is going to be 1 3/4. So if you take your ruler and you line it up at 1 3/4, just like that, and you mark the 2, there's your center mark, okay? Sorry, I got to keep this in here so it keeps my camera focused. My camera doesn't like black and white, it's looking for color. Alright, so now I'm just going to take my pencil, and I am going to quickly draw a line down to the 2 corners, and that's going to be my cut lines. Okay, so then for the next step, you are going to take your scissors and you're going to follow this line and cut it off, because if you do actually have it flipped up when you're going to put this together, the pencil does actually show. And so then what you can do is, once you have one cut, you can just layer it on top of the second one, and holding your tongue just the right way and the paper, you can snip your second one. Oops, I got just the hair of that one. That's okay, it had a pencil mark on it anyway. Okay, so then you've got 2, and remember we scored these little guys at the 1/2 inch mark, and so you're going to fold back the score lines, because that's part of putting this together. Okay, so next we need to build our card base. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold and burnish the card that we scored, and then grab your snail or your fast fuse, and you want to add some adhesive down these pieces. I like to actually turn this open and work sideways. Remember to keep your balloons going the same way up. Just a heads up there. Okay, so we got the one outside piece and the second outside piece, and there's a good 1/4 inch for you all the way around, okay? So that starts the outside of the card for you. And then for the inside piece, what you're going to do is add your snail all the way around the outside, and then add one down the middle because we're going to be cutting this out, so you don't want the paper to separate from the center. Okay, so a couple of things about this step. We're using the 5th from the center for the circle. If you are using something else, it's 2 3/8 inch is what my circle is, and I've got it on here. Don't put it all the way to the top, okay? You need room to leave some dimensionals there to hold this onto the card, and we also need room for the shudder to go in and out. So a little bit more towards the middle, and then I've got actually a couple of post-it notes holding that little guy in place before I run it through my machine. Okay, so you're going to add some dimensionals to the back, and then what you're going to do is you are going to attach this to the center of the inside of your card. Okay, just like that. There we go. Okay, so on to the next step. We're going to be adding the shudder, and you need some fast fuse, okay? You need a little bit stronger than snail adhesive. And so what you're going to do with the first one is you got the fold going this way, okay? You're going to slide this inside all the way over, and doesn't it look like a Pac-Man? Okay, so I've got my 1/2 inch piece down here, and I've moved it in about 1/8 inch or 1/16 of an inch from the fold. You don't want to put it right on the fold. And you want this as centered as possible, okay? And I'm going to hold on to it while I turn it. I'm going to add my fast fuse, and it's down the black side on the fold, and then what you do to attach it is you close your card, okay? Give it a good rub. Okay, and then when you open it, see how it moves back and forth? Isn't that cool? Okay, so now we're going to do exactly the same thing on this side. We're going to pop this under, and you want to double check and make sure that it's under this piece over here, okay? So you don't want one under and one over. It won't work very well. And so we're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to line up over here, just a little bit in from the fold line. And then the other thing that you want to watch is have a quick peek over here and make sure that these pieces on this side are lined up as well, okay? Now I'm going to again hold on to this just like that, and I'm going to add my fast fuse right here, and I'm going to close the card again, and there we go. So now it's going to open and close for me. Isn't that cool? Woo! I could play with those all day. Okay, so there is one thing I want to show you, and I know it's going to be really hard to see here because I've got black on black, but there's the top one, the little tabs poke all the way through, and they get in the way from the card closing. So what I do is I snip those because you're not going to see them when someone opens and closes the card. It's just when one side is open, you can see them just a little hair like that, okay? So snip them as close to that centerpiece as you can, just so that they won't show, and that will just help make it open and close really easily. Okay, so let's work on the belly band. Okay, so the belly band is just a strip from a piece of cardstock. It's 1 inch wide and it's 11 inches long, and the easiest thing to do is I just start it here and I bend it around loosely because you want to be able to slide it up and down, okay? And so I do that, and then I look for my glue dots. And so what I do is I attach a couple of glue dots there, and then I just kind of eyeball it, and I snip just like that. You don't need to get too technical with it because guess what? Our little circles are going to cover this. Alright, so what you're going to do is just add, I like to put 3 dimensionals along here, and I've already cut my circles and my attached them. So I'm just going to remove the protective covers and this little guy, and I offset this one on purpose, okay? This little guy is going to go right here. So now we need to work on the balloons to do our embellishing. Okay, so I'm using crushed curry, melon mambo, and then I have my Memento Tuxedo black that I'm using. Okay, and 3-step stamping, and I'm just, this is going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit and just let you listen to music. Okay, so there we go. I finished my belly band, and I would recommend that maybe you stamp those little strings before you get that all attached to the belly band. I forgot to do that. Okay, so the last step is once this is open, we need to have our little sentiment inside there. And so again, I stamped this just on a scrap of Whisper White, and I cut it out with the fourth from the center of the circle framelits. And this time I'm going to add a little bit of the multi-purpose glue to the back because it doesn't dry right away, so it gives you a little bit of time to mess around with this, and we need that because what we're going to do is we need to slide this under here, and then you need to pick up the shutters, and you need to be able to manipulate this right into place just like that. And my dirty little finger, I had some melon mambo on my fingers. So there you go. When you open it, there's Dear Friend on the outside. So isn't that cool? And so now we have our little belly band. So we're just going to pop that over top of our card. And there we go. Do you want to see two more? Okay, so when I started making this, I started with this black one. And okay, so this is done with the black and white Botanical Builder framelit is what I used for here. The designer paper is the Go Wild designer paper. And the sentiments again from Birthday Blooms. And when you open this little guy, we have Dear Friend inside here as well, and some additional flowers. When I was making the video, the black on black, it was too hard to show you how the shutter worked, so that's why I had to change to something that was a little bit lighter. And on Sunday, I got wildly carried away and made this cute little Father's Day card for my dad who loves to fish. And this one's made with bear hugs, and I used the English Garden designer paper, and Old Olive and Melon Mambo were the colors, and the little bear I used soft suede and I stamped it on craft. Okay, so that's that one. The belly band is exactly the same sizes, and it's just using a different stamp set. And when you open this guy, ta-da! We have Love You Papa Bear and Love You with a little heart in the center, and that's all part of the Bear Hugs stamp set as well. So this little guy doesn't want to play nice. There we go. So there are 3 cute ideas for you for the Gatefold shutter card. Thanks so much for hanging in with me. Sorry the video is a little bit long, but there's lots of pieces to share with you. And enjoy making it. Happy stamping. See you again soon.